Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. And now it's already afternoon. Look at me. I'm a liar, liar, pants on fire. It's already 12:02 on the East Coast on a Friday. We're here with our good buddy Millennial Mike. Happy to hang out. Dude, it's been like forever.
Well, I always work Friday mornings, and
I
unless
know.
I'm adjusted for like today, I'm going to work a later shift because I'm going to be at the range. So I just can't
Well,
make Friday mornings, unfortunately.
I get it. I understand. Our job's getting in the way. This is my lunch break. So so
Oh
it
boy.
just kind of is what it is. I know that Dion's going to join us in a little bit, but it'd been like forever since we gotten a chance to get all on together. Just
Mhm.
because schedules have been crazy. But what's going on? I saw in social media that you got another one under agreement. Just like no one
Yeah.
likes to show off, Mike.
Well,
So
I got number 14. It's a single family house. It's another nice brick 3-bed 1-bath house. I know those things will appraise for at minimum 70 grand. I've had one appraised for as high as 134,000.
wow.
And I got it under contract for $32,000. Walked through it. I didn't walk through it myself,
Sure.
but I had my guys walk through it, send me video walk through the whole thing. It looks like we could do a little bit of work on the flooring and repaint the mint green walls to something that's a little more renter friendly. But other than that, it looked really nice. It has a nice fenced in backyard, which in a tough city like Gary is very desirable because it's all fenced in.
Yeah.
Has a garage. It'll probably rent for 11. I confirmed my property manager, 1,100 bucks a month. I'll do a little bit of work on it, double the value with minimal work. And then I'll just be sitting around waiting for a good opportunity to do a cash out refi with a burr.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. How are you buying it? How are you paying for it?
So I'm using a home equity line of credit to pay cash for it. And
Nice.
then I'll just fund the repairs out of my own cash flow from my other rental properties because they won't be that expensive. So, and then I'll just be sitting there, and probably what I'll do is if it isn't a good opportunity to do a cash out refinance with a burr, I'll
Mhm.
just keep holding it until it is a good opportunity. So
Makes
I can
sense.
make interest only payments on the HELOC if I want, or for only 32,000, I could just aggressively pay it down as quickly as I need.
Is your HELOC, so after you pull that money, is that money interest only and fixed for a certain amount of time?
It's not fixed for a certain amount of time. It's interest only, but it's whatever the prime rate is plus one. That's what my rate is.
Okay.
So
So what is I didn't look at prime
no,
recently.
I mean,
What's
it's like
prime?
475 plus one. So it's like 575 right now or something
That's
like that.
that's not bad at all. And it is
Yeah.
interest only, so it's no principal
Yeah.
pay down.
Right. So it's actually
Yes.
cheaper to do it that way than if I was doing principal and interest on a fixed rate. It's just
For
not a
sure.
great long-term solution because you're never paying the principal down until you convert it to fixed rate debt, which conveniently enough, I literally just filmed an entire video all about how to use a home equity line of credit, the pluses and the minuses. I haven't edited it yet, but I threw in our little conversation where you bullied me. You bullied me into making sure I don't lose access to a tool like a HELOC. And as angry as I was, you were right as usual. So I did it, but I was pissed.
I get it. And so let's talk about what you were pissed about. So basically, for those of you who don't know, home equity line of credit from a bank perspective, it looks to the bank balance sheet. They look almost identical. The reason I say almost identical is because we live in a fractionalized banking system, which means if I'm a bank and I get $100,000 worth of deposits, I can lend out $1 million, typically is what the number is. I can lend out about $1 million on that $1 million worth of deposits. Fractionalized banking. They only got a fraction of what they're actually going to lend out. Here's the power of that for the bank is obviously leverage, etc. However, from a buyer's side of things, from Mike's side of things, he gets a home equity line of credit approved on one of his homes. It's, let's say, $100,000. Or he could have gotten, let's say, $100,000 mortgage. Here's the difference. To the bank, they have to have that $100,000 on their books either way. The difference is that HELOC being on their books as $100,000 and not having any money drawn down on it actually makes them $0, but they have to account for that $100,000 like it was being lent out. So it's almost like having a non-performing loan where you've got to keep on your books that it looks like you lent out $100,000. It's basically available credit, but it looks like you put that $100,000 out there. The difference is that it's not performing. If they give you a mortgage on $100,000, literally after 45 days, even if they weren't the ones that held the actual loan and they sold it to Fannie and Freddie, they're still making the money for servicing the account. When that's a home equity line of credit, none of that happens. So when none of that happens, that puts you in a bad spot, because as soon as a bank gets in trouble, the fastest way that they can create capital, i.e. not extending credit, is if they shut down all of their home equity lines. And they will take ones that are $100,000 with no balance, and they'll send you a Dear John letter saying, hey, Mike, thanks so much for taking out the HELOC. We know you spent $400 to $600 taking out a HELOC, but due to adverse things happening in the housing market in today's banking world, blah, 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 we are shutting down that line of credit. And then literally hundreds of thousands of people get that letter. And that's what then gives them that much more in reserves or credit available. That's what changes on their balance sheet.
Yeah. So in order to protect themselves, you will lose access to a tool.
Correct.
And that's the interesting thing that I've learned since I got the home equity line of credit, is that it's, and this is the point I make in the video I made, but it's not out yet, is that there's a mental shift that happens when you start using something like a HELOC. You realize that money isn't real. It's just a tool. I have this tool. It's a $125,000 HELOC that I can use to buy, remodel, do a burst strategy, replenish the HELOC, do it again, replenish the HELOC. It's no different than when I worked in construction and we paid a monthly fee for a forklift. We rent the forklift out so we can use the forklift to do our job. We got to pay a monthly fee. The HELOC, the interest-only payment on the HELOC, is my monthly fee to use the tool that is that giant pile of money. And as much as it pisses me off to have to rent the forklift when I know I'm probably not going to use it for a month, if I don't rent it today, that forklift's going to be gone and I won't get it again for 4 or 5 years. And that will slow down my business.
Absolutely. 100%. And the key too is that making sure that when you're quote unquote getting money out of the property, because you refi the property, you do a mortgage, you get a cash out refi. The idea there is that you now still have your money out of your HELOC. You can always pay it back. The issue is that once likely you pay down a closed line of credit, you don't get access to that money again. So you basically keep it out of the HELOC. You keep it out of that ecosystem, if you will. You have it in an account. Now you're paying interest on that, but that's where you have to make sure that you're starting to get return on that capital. Now, this is not a strategy that I'm recommending for anybody. I'm just saying I wanted to clear up the details on it because this is something Mike had done. Some people really like this strategy and this is what they want to do. Other people say, you know what? I don't want to risk what I'm working on. It's good. I'm just going to go for slower growth. Slow and steady wins the race basically every time. You can speed things up by getting other people's money. So that obviously works. I see our good buddy Dion from Portugal is joining us.
Oh, he finally jumped in, huh?
He does. Well, my guess is he probably just finished a siesta, or he finished a meal, or holy Lord, he's redecorated the place.
Wow. Look at that.
We can't hear you yet.
Couldn't hear that.
We
But
couldn't
we could translate
hear
that
you.
as howdy.
No sound still?
No, you're
There it
good.
is.
Now you're
Okay.
good. Now you're
I'm
good.
finding there's about a 4-second lag.
That's
tell-
okay. We'll finally be able to keep up with you.
Yeah. So why were you late this morning, Dion? What were you doing, huh?
Well, it's
I was
not morning for
Time with
him.
the locals?
I was working. I was actually doing something. I was recording for Zuber. I got about halfway done. So I've got another half to go. I'll probably finish hopefully in the next day or so.
What were you recording?
One Rental at a Time by Michael Zuber.
Oh, nice. You really do like to do that, those edits on the road. You like that.
It's easier when I'm traveling. There's less things to do. And so while I've been traveling, I've had some real estate issues to deal with. I had a hot water heater go out. I had garage door motor go out, and a tenant working with a voucher program, all handled through maybe 7 texts and 2 emails.
Nice.
Pushing up against that 2 hours a month, Dion. Just saying. Just saying. Breaking through that barrier. Just saying. Might need a course for that. But anyway, for those of you guys who haven't seen, Dion released his course. It's absolutely awesome. Rave reviews. So I'm super excited for that because I know that people are learning a lot. All the stuff that you talk about, if you want to spend 6,000 hours watching all of your content, Which as much as I love you and I love spending time with you, that's a little bit beyond the pale for me. But yeah, you got the course available. It's going well. Don't you have, like, we do a boot camp. Don't you have something like that coming up this week?
So every Saturday for the first month.
Yeah.
There's
Okay.
a group session. The first one was 4 students. So it was really close to one-on-one. I mean, as far as how much we could talk, I'm thinking the one this Saturday, because there's more notice that it's coming out. There
Sure.
will probably be more people there. It's noon on Saturdays for now.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'll probably do Saturdays and Sundays going forward after that.
Nice. So we were just doing an update for Mike's newest purchase and how he hates me because of the way that HELOCs work, because that was up to me. But just pointing it out to him. How is your Portugal travel going, and when can I expect news that you're buying property?
Actually, I've learned something that a friend of mine sent me, and then I did some research to like back up the data. Let me make sure I get his name. Scott.
Okay.
Sent me an article that I didn't know. And had I known, I probably would have not come here.
Oh,
So the Portuguese, and no
Yeah.
insult to anybody who's from Portugal, this is actually, I've talked to 2 different people here, and this is really a thing. They celebrate, enjoy, are addicted to being sad.
okay.
And they actually, and when I first heard it, I thought, okay, well, that sounds kind of stupid. Maybe they're just mad at the world. And then no, they actually have the dour face, and it is really insulting if you meet a Portuguese person who's having a bad day and you try to cheer them up. Because, and there's a psychology to it, and there's a word in Portuguese called something, it's Saudade. So saudade, something like that,
Okay.
where you can't enjoy daylight without night. You can't experience joy without suffering. You can't, whatever that is, right? So in the United States, we will flat out lie when somebody goes, "How you doing?" "Oh, I'm great, no problem." Like no matter what's you're going through a divorce, death in the family, you're like, "Oh, I'm good," right? We'll just lie. It's normal to us. Well, to them, that seems insane.
Okay.
Their best reply, if you say, "How are you doing?" is something like mediocre. "I'm doing so," right? It's the translation of what it is. So I wasn't expecting to come to a country that kind of embraces sadness as a needed experience to justify the joys that you're going to have, because I just encountered people on their sad days, apparently.
If you wanted that, you could have stayed in Seattle.
Or as the article that I was reading that said how this works is, this is no Thailand.
Oh,
This is no Thailand.
I have to agree. This is no Thailand. So
I already made the joke that it's Colombia is looking better and better every day.
yeah, for sure. So we know now that Portugal is off the list.
it is. So actually what I think I'm going to do, what I'm going to turn it into is buy rental properties that produce cash flow to pay for Airbnbs, and then spend 2 or 3 months in each country throughout the year when I'm out of Seattle in the winter.
Okay.
Instead of investing in the country that I would travel to.
Got it. But Portugal's off that list.
Nah,
Okay. Portugal's still on the list.
it's not. It's beautiful here. Like the beaches in the Algarve is amazing. The weather has been perfect every single day. I have made some friends. They are not Portuguese friends, but there's good reason to travel.
Okay. Sounds awesome. Well, then there you go. So it sounds like, as miserable as Portugal is, it might be right up Dion's alley.
Might be for a few months, every few years.
Got it,
Maybe.
exactly. Just after he spends like 2 or 3 months being wicked happy in Thailand, he can go to Portugal and get
When
depressed.
I feel like I need my depression back. Yeah.
Exactly. Or maybe you do Portugal first, then you do Thailand, and then you put yourself back in the mix over in Seattle where you can get all sad again.
So actually, I'm curious. You were updating on Mike's rental, and he was complaining about HELOCs.
Yeah.
So what's going on with that, Mike? Update me.
Yeah, so essentially, Matt and I were just talking about the fact that when credit gets tightened, when banks are collapsing, when there's insecurity in the financial system, like there was in 2007, 2008, things like HELOCs are the first to go, because if it's a HELOC sitting there, the bank has to allocate money for it. But if you haven't borrowed that money, they're not making any money on it. So if the money's borrowed, obviously they can't close it. They need you to pay it back. But if it's just sitting there waiting for you to use, they'll be like, this isn't worth it. We're going to close it. We're going to move this money into a higher performing loan. And then you will lose your ability to use your HELOC, which I have used to purchase my last 4 deals. And I've done a really good job of using the BRRRR strategy to buy and get all my money back, pay it down. And I mean, the holding costs on the things are easy. You know, if I'm spending $400 or $500 a month to hold $100,000+ and use that money, that's a very, very cheap rental price for that money. And it's just a tool at this point. And I don't want to lose that $125,000 hammer that I've been swinging. Not that hammer, Dion.
So, we can't talk about that. Not in this thing.
You said $100,000 hammer.
I was actually just narrating the part of Zuber's book when he was talking about after the housing crash. He had pivoted to small apartment complexes, 5 to 10 units, and the next few years he saw housing prices start to drop on single family. So he wanted to go back to single family, and lenders disappeared. That's when the 4 loans per investor rule came out, and the housing market was the best he'd seen in his career for buying. And you can't borrow money to buy, not the traditional. That's when he started getting into his other sources of funding.
Right.
Yeah. DSCRs right now are running just under 9%. It's a big number. Yeah. It's a big number. I mean,
this is the frustration that we've had with the crash bro argument forever, because at the end of the day, okay, let's say they're right. Let's say even the market does crash 20-30% off, like they've been claiming it will. That like now Reventure is backpedaling on, but let's say that they're right. If it actually happens, you're not going to be able to get a loan. You won't be able to buy jack. You're going to be standing there on the sidelines with your hands in your pockets, pissed that you cannot get in there. So even if they're right, you're still hosed, which they're not right, but whatever.
I concur. I think the talked to one of my brokers, what was it, yesterday or 2 days ago? So Wednesday, 2 days ago, talked to him. He said open house this weekend. House was a 2-bed, 1-bath for $300K. It was 800 square feet. They had 65 people in that open house in 2 hours. Hey, Crash Bros, suck it, you dummies. Yeah. It's median minus. It's not, and the upper range, they've seen some activity, but he's even said, he's like, man, if you're talking, because kind of median for us is like right around high 4s, 470, 480, right around there. He was saying that if you're, 6, 7 in that range, he goes, you're getting a few people through, maybe. He's like, that's the area. And I said, what about the big stuff like the $1 million+? He goes, dead. Mm-hmm. Haven't had anybody ask to see something that was over 7 figures that wasn't an investment property in months.
You really can't blame the crash bros. I completely understand them, because you just have to know who they are, right?
Posers.
If you want to help somebody, you tell them the truth. So we're trying to help people become investors. So our channels don't grow very fast. If you want to help yourself, you tell people what they want to hear.
Sure. And
Crash Bros want to grow a channel more so than have the, 20 to 100 people that they interact with personally and get them on the property ladder and help them grow, right? They want all the views, all the clicks, because they don't have a revenue source like real estate to live on. They have to help themselves with their channel, and people want to hear crash.
Of
they
course.
want to hear the next reason for the crash. So if we wanted to help ourselves, that's the videos we would make, and we don't.
I agree. I saw one here out of the corner of my eye. Ninja Vanish. Hi, Matt. Saw the video titled with more evictions in 6 months than in 20 years. Do you think this situation is unique to you and your local market, or do you see this trend in other areas as well? It will trend in other areas as well. And what you can basically count on is it's about a 90 to 150 day lag to when the emergency rental assistance money wears out.
Yeah.
That's the phenomenon I was talking about 9 months ago when I called it a rental apocalypse. That's what's happening. That's
That's what I would tie it to, Matt, is the ERAP.
Yep.
It's
100%.
so I think Ninja Vanish is asking, market wide, are we going to start to see more evictions? No.
I
The
think
ERAP program wasn't large enough to impact the whole market, but anybody involved in the ERAP program is going to experience what you did.
so. I would say that you're not wrong, but I will say that it was $51 billion and every state got it out slower than other, every state got, so New Hampshire got through its money faster than any other state because we were efficient, we were effective, and they knew how to get the money deployed. The other states have been proven to be, like California, complete and total debacle nightmare, shocker of shockers, in actually getting free money out. They're usually really good at giving money away. But what was really interesting is that you're going to see it it's going to be like rolling blackouts. You're going to see it go to other areas, but that's why it's like the indicator is 90 days to 150 days after emergency rental assistance runs out. That's where you're going to see it really start to take root and take effect, is because that's different. Even in New Hampshire, that was different by county. So you'll find that in other states where you'll find other counties, or depending on how they decided to roll it out, you're going to see one area get particularly heavy hit. And we haven't gotten through it yet, but I can tell you that in February and March, it was probably 3 or 4 weeks before you could get to an eviction hearing. And now it's probably 2 weeks. So it's in half. And usually we're running about 7 to 10 days. So I think that's what will continue. Mike, you have any thoughts on that?
I think I agree with Dion. Anybody who went on emergency assistance is probably not going to end up being a payer afterwards. There's just, we talked about mental shifts earlier for recognizing money and a HELOC as a tool. There is some sort of mental shift that happens in a tenant's mind at the time when a new owner takes over a rental property. It's very likely that a mental shift will happen where they somehow, a great paying tenant can become a non-great paying tenant. There's another mental shift that happens when you've started giving a man a fish every day and you finally tell them, we need you to go out there and catch your own fish. They don't want to do it. There was a mental shift that took place in people's minds when it was like, hey, we're going to send everybody home to work from home. Hey, now we want you to come back into the office. Even if it's just 1 or 2 days a week, people are kicking and screaming. Now, to a certain degree, I kind of don't blame them, because if you literally can do your entire job from a computer, I wouldn't want to go into work either. But that mental shift, when you've been given something or that you have grown attached to and developed an intimate personal relationship with, like free freaking money for your rent, you don't want to give that up. And they'll go kicking and screaming right to the eviction.
So Matt, Mike and I agree with you. I think me and Mike didn't know the scope of it because we just immediately dismissed it because the size of our portfolios didn't make sense, because we knew, even if it was just one, okay,
absolutely,
that's guaranteed eviction in a year.
Yep.
With you took a percentage.
Yep.
You said, I'm going to try to help people, even though it's going to suck in a year whenever this ends. That was stupid.
I'm so dumb. Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm an idiot. I like pain, and that was the crazy thing is that it was part of it where they said, oh, what we're going to have, those people will be transitioning into Section 8 housing. I was like, great. Where are those vouchers coming from? They're like, well, that's going to be approved. And I was like, okay. And so I took their word for it. Big dumb idiot. I took their word for it. And I was just like, okay, that sounds good. And then like 6 months into the program, I'm like, so where's this other stuff coming? When's the other programs coming? Because we're starting to run out. And then it was like, oh, well, it's being worked on. And then there was a small wave, but the amount of vouchers that came to market versus what was actually needed was ridiculous. In my county alone, like 2,700 people got assistance. There were another 100 vouchers created. Like, it's a drop in the bucket. It's a fart. Like, it's nothing, it's like, so to that end, yep, they got me. I'm a big dummy, but that's okay. It all worked out. And we did get a couple tenants that we really like out of it. But we also got plenty of tenants. I mean, I think when it was all said and done, we ended up doing 7 actual lockouts. So we did 7 actual lockouts, and our last one was, it's really nice to kind of be through that season because our last one was Monday. Our last one was Monday. So it was great because we get that unit fully back in our possession this coming Monday. We can clean out, we'll have a tenant back in there. And that means that, you know, we had, of those 7 units, they obviously all stopped paying rent in January. So it was February, March, April. And so a lot of those, we decided to redo those, put them back on the market, and spend a bunch of money. And so, you know, I also probably spent in the last 90 days, I probably spent $100,000 on units. That's it. Dion took off. I said something offended him. That's all right. He'll be back.
Whoever it is coming back, knocking on the door. She might have left her makeup there or something.
It's not that kind of channel, Michael.
I've seen that run of urgency before.
Yeah, it's not that kind of channel. Brian Beck, thanks so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. Angel R. Hey, Matt, if a 90-year or an 80-year-old house has wood siding requiring repainting every 5 years, would opting for vinyl siding be a more cost-effective choice? So the only way you can know that, Angel, is if you actually get 3 quotes from different contractors on looking at what the numbers are for getting it replaced to vinyl siding. The other thing is, do you decide to go for vinyl corners and vinyl around windows, or do you decide to do metal around windows? So that's where it comes into, it could very well be. But again, it depends on the area because it can vary greatly. Some people can paint a house for $3,000, and for some reason in that area, painting a house can be $12,000. And then you can see the same thing on the siding. It's usually not that varying because they have to buy product. That's usually the biggest variable when it comes to siding. It's the labor side of it, but with painting, again, that can be a big challenge.
Hey, for the record, real quick, we do have that Dave Ramsey video that we want to react to at some point. And I did also pull up the article on you're going to get punished for having a higher credit score. So if you guys want me to read any of that or do the Dave Ramsey thing, we got that at some point.
Yeah, we'll do that short for sure. Nick Wood, any recommendations for weekly investor networking meetings in Washington State? Central Washington. Central.
Yeah, Nick, I don't know one off the top of my head that's over in Central Washington, but once a month, I mean, we got April 29th of this month, Saturday, April 29th. It's a Saturday. We're going to have a Tacoma FI meetup in the Tacoma area. So I know it's a bit of a drive. It's probably a good 2, maybe even 3-hour drive, but it is on a Saturday. If you want to meet up with Dion's group, he won't be there because he's busy in Portugal. But the other thing you can do, if there isn't one in Central Washington, start one, dude. Start one.
I would look at group. I was going to say, I would look at Facebook first and then see if you can get something going virtually and then see if it can be something you can turn into something in person. Let's see. Are you guys raising rents this year with a recession on the horizon? Dion?
So I just used the binder strategy on all existing tenants, end of 2021, beginning of 2022. So for the year of 2023, there will be no real adjustments to rent unless I have a tenant turnover, which would be nice because of what's happened to rents. But 2024, there will probably be a 5% adjustment. So I'm taking this year, it has nothing to do with the recession. We had such a spike that I used the binder strategy on all existing tenants. And I generally don't do a rent increase for 2 years after that.
Mike?
So, I mean, I just released a rental a couple weeks ago, and it went from $1,050 a month to $1,150 a month. So that's almost a 10% increase right there. And that was one that I just literally leased. Dion and I were there like days after they occupied it when we were in Gary. And then in terms of my duplex here in Seattle, I did not raise rents at all last year during the, they got in here 2021 in July. And I haven't raised it since then. So come renewal 2023 July, I'm going to try to binder strategy, and I think we'll probably end up going up at least a couple $100.
Cool. For me, yes. Every year there is because not everybody is on the same kind of calendar. So every year there's rent raises to be had in my portfolio based on not raising it every year. Or in some cases we have raised places every year where it was like an area where all of a sudden it was like, holy cow. Now everybody wants to be in this neighborhood. So let's get at it. That's something where, we had one where the rent was $1,600 last year and it just rented out for $2,600 this year.
Wow.
So yeah, $1,000 increase. Yeah. It was
Wow.
crazy. I mean, we tried it and it was just like, well, let's see what we get for responses. My amazing ad writing capabilities. We had literally hundreds of inquiries in a couple of days, and we had, I think, 17 people that qualified for the walkthrough.
Mhm.
Like it was, I mean, and that was at 26. Like that number's nuts. So yeah, so I think, so long as you're using binder strategy, I think it's a good thing to do. I see Matt post something here. He said, "Hey, Al, any thoughts on preventing title theft?" David Green at Bigger Pockets got with this, but won't talk about it for fear of it happening again. I still don't understand how he got with it and how that matters when you have title insurance.
Yeah. Wait. What is title theft? I've never heard of this. Is this like where somebody like forges the documents and pretends that they're you to buy and sell a house? Because I've heard of that before. Is that what it's called?
I would think
There's
that's
a million forms of it, because anytime you put something in place and there is a way to scam, the scammers will creatively come up with it. You can do a version of identity theft where you put a lien on a property as though you knew the owner or the owner owes you money. Now the lien exists, it's registered with the county. With the title insurance, it kind of helps with anything that happened before you started there.
Yeah, agreed. I think that that's the biggest point for me is that I always have insurance or title or something. You know, it's like
Yeah, I always do title insurance, always.
always. And the thing is he says that it fraudulently claims the title is theirs. Yeah, I mean, good luck with that. And again, even if somebody was able to do that, like it's just a matter of contacting your title insurance company when you closed on the transaction and they guaranteed title was clean there. And that's the last transaction that occurred around that. Anything else that happens thereafter wouldn't be my issue, or wouldn't be my cost, certainly.
So this is, and I don't usually talk a lot about cryptocurrency and things like this, but this is one of the benefits of an NFT. The technology that goes into cryptocurrency with blockchain makes it so things like titles, official documents, can't be hacked, can't be changed, can't be altered, which is why I firmly believe in the tech. I'm not telling you to invest in Bitcoin, but an NFT will be very powerful, being able to go person to person and not even need title history, because you can search the freaking network right there on the blockchain.
Here's the caveat.
I'm ready.
There will be a window of opportunity before people understand how NFTs work. Just like when crypto was coming out, people didn't understand how platforms worked. And I know at least a dozen people who lost somewhere between $3,000 and $10,000 because they bought coins that didn't exist on a platform that wasn't real, because they just don't get the tech. So when NFTs, and this is smart people that own like multi-million-dollar businesses. This isn't like just the guy I know that saved it. So when they lost it, they were like, yeah, whatever, it was Tuesday, but still it's frustrating. So when NFTs come out as a thing, people are not going to understand how it works. And the scammers are going to come in, and until it becomes normal, where we have checks and balances in to check how it's actually working, I think people will lose life savings.
Oof. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, because it's one transaction can wipe you out. BF Lumberjack, congratulations on your court battle. Thank you very much. I enjoy the smell of victory. It was wonderful. Ironically, the person's reached out to me and said, "Hey, can I have longer to get out of your unit?" And I was like, I mean, sorry. The judge has ruled. Okay. Idiot. Okay. Sorry. Landlord thing. Toilet overflowed. It was flooding the downstairs apartment.
Ugh.
Isn't that awesome? Jeff M. Yeah. Blockchain. Oh, well, it was after the flush.
Oh, good.
The response back from my PM, Muppet. That's priceless. Let's see. Chester Williams, the dependency for quality of life adjustment never goes well in trying to downgrade, even in the least. I very much agree. Josh Burdick, how about that good credit penalty on mortgages? Yeah, we are going to do a video on that shortly. Kind of reaction to Chester always set expectations early and allow people to be pleasantly surprised. True story. Aaron Broderson, I've got to check out. He's got an appointment. Dion getting all continental and stuff. John B, the market will K-shape based on region and future energy transition world markets. Yeah, I think that, I mean, there's a lot of things like that that are very big picture that no one has any real timing around. Everyone thought we were going to be in flying cars 20 years ago at this point, and guess what? No flying cars. Certainly not on the reg. So there's certain things that develop very quickly, and then there's certain things that are kind of like a slow burn. And so, if you ask me long term, am I worried about the dollar? Sure. Am I worried about it tomorrow? Nope. It's going to be a while. Dion?
So let's say the dollar's going to crash.
Mhm.
What is the most important thing to do if the dollar's going to crash?
Have fixed rate debt.
Get into as much of it as you can.
Absolutely.
I don't know
100%.
how many more mountains we can stand on and scream that, or cannons we can shoot off to get.
I
people
would
to-
like nothing more than to wheelbarrow a bunch of cash into my bank one morning and realize that was a week's paycheck and pay off all the real estate I bought.
It's actually kind of hard to explain that concept to someone,
Yeah.
like verbally get it out to it. But once it's in your head, you're like, absolutely.
100%. Sign me up. Let's see. Josh Burdick says that they have some meetups in Spokane. That's very cool. The Spokane.
Probably about the same distance to go to Spokane as it is just to come over the mountains and hang out with us in Tacoma, depending on where in Central Washington, but it's 2 hours either way.
Nice. Let's see. Oops. Jeff M. Yeah, blockchain is going to put a whole lot of these airhead realtors and title companies out of business. I can't wait. Yeah, one of the things that bothers me is that you can buy a property, you can buy title insurance for $700 or $800, and then when you refi the property 3 months later, you have to buy it again. I'm like, what kind of bullshit is that? But there's 5 companies really only in the country that do title insurance. There's really only 5 of them. And so since that's the rule, it's the same thing with the electrical code. Do you really think that code needs to change every other year for electrical code and what the standards are? It doesn't. But guess who the 5 people are on the board that make updates to the electrical code are that recommend them? They're the biggest manufacturers of electrical components in the country.
Right. Oh, you got to
Shocker.
update the new stuff. Yeah, you got to buy our new stuff. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. So we now, you can't just update the outlet. You now actually have to update the entire line. I'm sorry. What? Oh yeah. You got to do the breaker too. Oh, and it's one of those new breakers that's $50. This is sounding better and better. So now upgrading one switch can cost you $75 in materials.
Right.
So in 2021, the permitting law in Washington state changed for replacing your panel.
Yeah.
You could have, it has to be an electrician, obviously, to replace
Sure.
the panel.
Sure.
But after that year, there's now this, like, I don't know how much the cost was. I was quoted significant amounts to get a permit now to switch your panel at a new added cost of almost like $1,000 on top of whatever you're doing with the panel, just so that they can shut it off to the house instead of the way they used to do it. Some recent change. And I had like 2 different electricians quoting me on it. So I was replacing panels before that went into effect.
Well, yeah, it got 2017 code. So what's really cool is Gary, Indiana is on 2008 code.
Yeah.
It's the best. I literally looked it up from Mike and I was like, dude, I've got the best news ever. They're on 08 code. And 08 code is like the freaking Wild West.
Yep.
It's like, don't lick your fingers and stick it in sockets is part of the code. It's like tamper-proof outlets, not on there. AFCI breakers, not on there. There's so many things that aren't on there. It's kind of awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Frank Contreras, thanks for being here. If you're buying a property cash, do you pay for an appraisal to make sure the value is there, especially if you're planning to do a cash out refi in the future? Yes, I do.
I don't.
I mean, but for you,
I'm not
Mike,
going
like
to.
the appraisal is almost as much as the house. So I get it.
Wait, you're saying, do you pay for the appraisal before buying?
Yeah.
Before you've done your remodel and all your work, you pay for an appraisal?
Oh, sure. So what I want is an as complete appraisal. So there's a regular appraisal, which appraises it as is, right? We've all been there with the appraiser, and he's just like, no, that's the way it is right now today. That's what gets taken a picture of. That's what's going in the report. That's what the appraisal, even if you have, a pallet of pavers in your driveway and you're like, yeah, it's going right in there in this empty spot out back. He's like, don't care.
So what does having the appraisal done do for you, Matt?
So what it does is, so that's the core of like a normal typical appraiser. You can have what's called an as complete, which basically is, here's the appraisal as is, as it sits today. here's the appraisal of what it is as complete. It gives me a better idea. Now, I generally understand what my as complete value is going to be. So I buy it for 400, and as complete, the broker or the appraiser says, you know what, based on what you'll be able to get for rents and based on what the value is going to be and how this that now compares to other assets like that as complete as the project's complete in the market, I'm saying the as complete price is 550. Well, I'm looking at it and it's like, I can get to the as complete price for $70,000. So I'm going to spend the 70 to turn that into a 550 appraisal because that's what the as complete value is going to be based on what it's tied to. Go ahead.
I don't think I'm using the right words.
Okay.
So I'm buying for cash flow based on area average rents.
Mhm.
I don't care if the property, once I purchased it, is worth $5 or $5 billion. I'm not, there's no benefit to me to have that appraisal. So there's a reason you're doing it. There's something that you're like, are you cash out refinancing when you're done, or you're doing something like that? So you're caring about some other metric that somebody asking, if you're just buying a place cash and you're just buying it for cash flow,
Mhm.
I wouldn't get an appraisal.
So it gives me the ability to cash out refi. It also gives me the ability to do a deal with one bank. And for most appraisals, they're good for 6 months to a year. And you can actually get permission from the appraisal firm to use that appraisal again with another bank, so long as the other bank does what's called an information release. And believe it or not, the appraisers love that because they get paid all over again and they don't have to do the work again.
So
Okay, so
I want to ask a clarifying question. Hold on. So what
Okay.
you're saying, Matt, is before you even buy the property, because the point of like a BRRRR strategy, the scariest part at the end, when you're hoping to do your cash out refi, is the property has to appraise for a high enough dollar amount so you can take the money back out. What you're saying is the reason you do the as complete appraisal is because you're getting that end appraisal before you even start. And if they don't give it to you, then you might not even start the project.
Correct. Yep.
So you don't have to do a second appraisal at the end. You got your answer right here.
Yep.
Okay.
I got it
Now
up
that
front.
makes sense to me, and I would do it.
Yeah.
Because then you don't have to wait and all the way to the end.
Correct.
Like, oh God, I really hope. Oh,
Exactly.
No.
So it depends on the person's goal who's asking the question. Whoever asked that question, are you someone like me who wants the most amount of cash flow with the least amount of units? And you're not going, I don't plan on ever doing a cash out refinance, a HELOC, selling the 1031, right? I just save a down payment, buy a property, sit here in Portugal and never worry about it.
Sure.
I don't want more units.
Sure.
But if you're doing a BRRRR, or if you're going to probably cash out in the future and you want to make sure your ARV is right, that's when you would do it. So an example is when I get back, I'm probably going to buy my next place cash.
Yep.
I have no intention of getting an appraisal because I'm never going to touch the equity.
Right. The only difference, the only thing to ever consider there is if you have an appraisal of the asset at that time, it may or may not behoove you to use that when you go to a bank if you decide that you want to cash out of that property.
So it depends on your end goal.
It does, 100%.
Right.
I mean, for me, I do it because an appraisal costs me $900 to $1,000. It costs me $1,400 to do an as complete. It's another $400. Like,
No, it's $1,400.
No, it's another
$0 to as complete, not from appraisal to as complete.
But if I'm buying something cash, I still want an appraisal. I want to know that there isn't something that I missed in trying to figure out the market. Even on my cash deals, I still pay for an appraisal. I still want to know that there isn't something in the market that I missed.
Huh.
Yeah, I still pay for them because again, it's a $900 insurance policy to make sure that I didn't. I found out that one of the properties I was buying was about 800 feet away from a super fund site. I never would have found that ever. Don't look it up. I don't look at that stuff. So I found out that it was 800 feet away from a super fund site. And then I was like, all right, so maybe whatever tenant I put there is going to glow. But then I looked at it and I was like, oh, okay, here's actually what was there. And we don't have to worry about groundwater contamination because they brought in piping and they're doing all, so there's no water being pulled out of the ground. There's no wells. They weren't allowed. Like, okay, then I felt good about it. But that's all the stuff where, again, for $900. And so for me, it really is that $900 to $1,400 difference. That's the way I view it.
Yeah, so one of the reasons why I would never get an appraisal at the beginning in the past was because this whole as-is appraisal concept, so you don't have to get one at the end, was unknown to me. But I don't trust appraisers. I don't think that they're really worth a whole lot, in my personal opinion. I don't think that they know as much about the market as I do. I think I do considerably more research than just sitting on my computer and looking at similar square foot and days on market when it was last sold.
Right.
I think I know way more about my market than they do.
Don't disagree.
And I'm also incentivized to know way more because, they're getting paid to just type something up to protect the banks and cover themselves. And I think you've even told me this in the past, Matt, like the certification process for them to get that is not that intensive to become an appraiser.
It's not hard to, so it's very hard because they require 2 years of shadowing. So it is hard to become an appraiser. The course itself, it's the inspector that's easy. The inspector can go to school for 7 days or 10 days and you can get a home inspector's license. Appraisal's got a very high bar because you have to, it's a lot of work to become an appraiser. Inspectors, easy. Appraisals, not. But the other thing too is, remember that one? Well, true story. Remember that appraisal that you got that was like, you were expecting like 90 or 100K and it came in at 134?
Yes.
That's why you pay. Because if, let's say the number's garbage, let's say the number was 86. Well, that report never sees the light of day again. If that report's 134, I got 6 months that I can probably get this reused by another bank to pull equity to do whatever. So I always want that report. It's just one of those things where I'd say 1 times out of 5, it was no benefit. 4 times out of 5, there was some benefit there that could be derived, again, based on what your strategy is.
There's a follow-up question here from Ninja Vanish about if you move out of a house and turn it into a rental, do you get an appraisal done so that you know how to set the depreciation schedule? And Ninja Vanish, that's not how it works. Whatever your property is worth is not what you get to depreciate. It's when you purchased it, the value of the buildings versus the value of the land. When you purchased it, that's going to be depreciated over the time that's remaining. Not it's appreciated a whole bunch since you bought it, and now the buildings are worth 3 or 4 times as much, and you move out, make it a rental, and you get to start depreciating all of those gains. I wish it would work that way, but it doesn't.
We just did 5 cost segregations. What was unbelievable about it is that literally the accountant says, okay, we need you to do some cost segs. I was like, all right, sounds good. So we do the cost segs. He tells me the properties we should do them on. We do the cost segs on DIYcostseg.com. There's an affiliate link in my videos for DIY cost seg. You enter in 1,000 lumber. 1,000 lumber, you enter in that code, you get a discount. But seeing those reports, holy Toledo. Like there's still a bunch of stuff on there that's going to give me 27.5 year depreciation schedule, but it's the 5 and the 7 stuff where it's like, let's take that now, and take some of that now. So DIYcostseg.com, 1,000 lumber. If you got an extension and you're trying to find out a way to lessen your tax burden, at least set up a phone call with them. It's free. I talked them into doing free 15-minute consultations with people. So if you haven't filed your taxes yet, just do the 15-minute free consultation. Cost you nothing. Maybe it makes sense. Maybe it doesn't. But anybody that thinks that you have to have a physical cost seg done doesn't know what they're talking about. They just don't, because they don't know how it works. And here's to that end, they actually offer audit protection for $195. So if I get audited, they're actually going to do all the work for the audit, number one. Number two is, if the IRS is still insistent and says we'd still disagree, guess what happens? They pay for a formal cost seg. And their algorithm is based on something like 10,000 previously done cost segs because they were an engineering firm previous. So if you think that just because it's online and it's easy, that it's stupid, you probably still use a rotary phone. And you probably just don't understand how they're built. And so I would encourage anybody, if you're in real estate look at DIY cost seg. Please, I guarantee you, there's no doubt in my mind, you will at least learn something on that phone call when you do a 15-minute conversation with them. And it may not be worth it for you, but it very well may. And I can tell you it's going to be a huge difference in our taxes this year for sure. And the accounting firm was even able to tell us these are the ones you need to look at. So make sure that before you're taking advice on anything, that you've talked to somebody that's actually done it, not somebody that just has feelings about something that doesn't know anything that they're talking about. Tom Kine. Hi, Tom. Dividend Dave, BF, tell the tenant to GTFO. In all honesty, I already won. Eviction on his record, small claims court filed. He lost a case. He's got a judgment against him. I don't want to make the guy homeless. I'm going to work with him, at least in some way. And if there is a way that I can work with him, I want to at least try that. Let's see. Please, yes. That's the last. Sorry, the last of it. I'm just finishing up 4 units. Mike, the units that we went in and did a lot of that cold recording, or the ones on Central across from the town hall, those are almost done. So
I want to answer a question here from Jeff M. Jeff M says, if you have I think it was he who asked the question. I see him answering a couple. Yeah. If you have $100,000 to invest and you can't put it in real estate, what do you do? Here's step 1, Jeff. So far, I'm 100% invested in real estate, right? I have no retirement accounts, no stocks, no, I don't even like having a saving account that pays a good interest rate because I want to be motivated to put it into real estate. To do that, to do it successfully, I've absorbed, I know for sure, thousands, possibly 10,000+ hours of content on how to invest in real estate, how to manage the portfolio, how to use the tax benefits, how to find and screen in place tenants, how to do rehab. Like, I'm learning from all of my friends like Mike and Zuber and Matt and Beth. If I had that $100,000 and I was going to deploy it into any field that wasn't real estate, which is not something I'm going to do, but if I was going to, I would put thousands of hours into absorbing content from people who have successfully done that and got the return that I would hope to get, so that I know the pitfalls much more than a Facebook post that says a well-diversified index something, or a dividend fund, whatever. I would want to know as much as I know about real estate before I deployed that money into something like that. So while I was learning, I'd go find something like that new Apple savings account that's paying over 4% right now, put the money in there while I educated myself. Not my option, but that's the path I would take.
I think I would do that. Tony J, Sagastizado. That's a good one, Tony. That's a good Tony. We'll just call you Tony Sagas, or Zato. How about that? There's a cool name. Lots.
What did they call you in the military, Tony? Put down your shortened name that they would call you.
Exactly. Probably just Tony.
Tony J. Yeah, it's always something with your last name.
That's true.
I had every Mac odd joke name you could make out of it. So.
Ned talks. What if I like my rotary phone? Then you can keep it, Ned. But I know Ned, and there's no way he has a rotary phone that he actually uses as a design thing. I wouldn't doubt that he would have one, but I know he doesn't use it. Anna K. Oh, hopping on during my AM break at work. We'll catch up after work. Thanks, Anna K. Hope you're having a great day. Yeah. So I think that, so on the as complete appraisal thing, like that's told me that I've needed to do a much bigger project on our property, where it was like, holy cow, if I spend like 70, 80, I can pick up 200, or 100.5. And it's like, what does that mean? That means that if I spend 70 and I'm going to get 150 in value, and I can take out 75% of the value, I'm going to pay myself the 70 plus the other 35 or 40,000 bucks. So that's where the as complete helps. The other thing that helps about the as complete is that means that the interest rate is based right then. It doesn't mean it means it's future proof, because the as complete number is what travels with the deal. And so when you're complete, you don't go through a refi period. Your rate is already what that is. The other thing too is banks will also let you do, so if they want to require 20% down or 30% down on the deal, they'll let you take it off that bigger number. So you're taking that 30% down. So I've done deals where I closed for 500, they wanted 20% down. I gave them 100 and I was at 400 for a balance. That was one option I could have done with the deal. The other one was I wanted to do an as complete and they were ranking it at 700. I was actually able to get the 750 or 700. Yeah. 700. Then it was, I had to write a check for 210. I wrote the check for 210 to buy it. I think it was 210. No, it was 25%. So it was 70. So 160, 170, 175, 180 or so with closing thereabouts. But I then got a $200,000 budget to redo the entire building. So I was basically net positive $20,000 on what my expenses were going to be to redo the thing. For what it's worth. CPTS T Sags.
Captain Sags.
There you go. Captain Sags. All right. There you go. Captain Sags, you are.
Can I address a question?
Please. Yeah, go for it.
So this is from BF, who I've seen make many comments. So I realize it's coming from a good place. So I'm not trying to argue or disagree.
Yeah.
But it says your life is real estate for over 35 years. You want to be diversified. You make sure you don't put all your eggs in one basket. I completely understand the sentiment. But I'm going to make 2 points. First, if I was diversified, I would still have to work.
Yes.
By focusing on one asset class, I was able to master it. What I did is I diversified in my asset class at least 2 ways. The first is when I started, I want all of my properties at least 10 miles apart, close to several economic drivers. So I've got a base, a port, a college, a hospital, multiple sources of tenants coming in. Then I diversify my tenant base, right? I've got about 1/3 working, 1/3 Section 8, 1/3 in the military. So if something happens like a prolonged government shutdown or a pandemic, I still have my money coming in. Like it's been over a decade since I've had a late or a missing rent payment. Because I'm diversified in so many ways, I also invest like I expect rents to go down about 50%, even though in my life, since like almost twice my life, rents have never once in a 5-year period ever gone down market wide, right? So I'm diversified that way. Once you get wealthy, so I'm almost there. I'm financially free. I don't consider it wealth. I think wealth is, net worth in the tens of millions. I'm about 3 million net worth. After you get to 10 million or so, now it makes sense to diversify. You diversify to protect wealth. Diversifying to get wealth will stop you in your tracks from getting wealth, or it will take decades instead of less than 1 decade. So I like it when that question comes up. And every time I mention I'm not diversified into any other things, because any other asset class that I invest in, I would not know what I'm doing and I would have lost the money, and I would have diversified my sources of income to the point where I didn't have one that was as good as what real estate's been. So
I want to thank Kip for the super chat because he thinks he put in there that Dion looks like Daughtry.
That's a band or name I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they do the country tour now, but I think it's Dion's Just for Men. Good, Dion. Jeff M., what are you guys doing to help increase cash flow while navigating a rising rate environment? 30-year fixed rate debt, Jeff. 30-year fixed rate debt. We don't have to do anything. That's the best part. And so Jeff, that's why I love that you asked that question, because so many people think that our rates are going up and that things are more expensive for us. Mike doesn't have any of those types of loans. Dion doesn't have any of those types of loans. Those loans are less than 10% of my portfolio, and they are so small. The amount of money is so small compared to my overall portfolio. I don't even care. I don't care if rates. And when I bought those rates 5 years ago, they were 6 and 6.5. So even if they go to 8.5, I've had 5 years of rent increases that dwarf that increase. So I don't even care when it has to refi or when it has to reload.
So there's 2 aspects to Jeff M's question. The first one, what are we doing to mitigate, the rising interest rates? Matt nails it, Jeff, with our debt is fixed. Interest rates can go to whatever, and unless they drop, there's no reason to look at our mortgages.
Correct.
I, in 2020, refinanced some 6 point somethings down to 3 to increase my cash flow. But when rates go up with 30-year fixed rate debt, banks can't call loans. That's not something that happens unless you're Dave Ramsey and you make 90-day debt. We do 30 or 40-year fixed rate debt. The second thing is interest rates are going up. Prices haven't really dropped. So how are we creating cash flow? When you're looking at deals for the last few years, speed mattered.
Yeah.
you wanted an offer in within an hour before that seller realized they were going to get a ton of offers, over asking, waiving contingencies, offering to name their kids after the seller. And that person didn't even get the deal, right? Like that was, you had to have your letter of pre-qualification, your higher earnest money in there to get that seller to accept an offer. And then they have the sunk cost theory where even if a better offer comes in, they already feel connected to you. So they don't pull out and go for the other offer. That shifted. And what we're doing now with the high interest rates and the high costs is we're watching days on market. So instead of like you have an hour, now we want 30, 45, 50 days on market. And then we make an offer that has nothing to do with the list price at a number that with the increased interest rates, with rents where they are, our cash flow will be there to give us the yield we're looking for. Yeah. So our portfolios are safe when we invest this way. So interest rates don't impact us at all. It actually helps us when they go up because anybody who wants to be a home buyer is looking at a higher mortgage. So they become renters, and which increases demand on rentals and makes the rent go up. And we just had to shift the way we find our deals.
So I want to answer Jeff's because I hadn't had a chance. And Jeff and I, we text sometimes. He's a good dude. He's got a tough market, a real tough market. Jeff, you have $100,000 you want to invest it. I was kind of being serious, like attend your local real estate meetup. And while you're there, don't tell anybody you have money you want to lend out. Just attend the local real estate meetup and figure out who at the local real estate meetup is about it. Who's good, who's actually doing deals, who's a mover and a shaker with receipts that can prove that they know how to manage and they know how to do projects. Because there's a lot of investors who want to borrow money. You got 100 grand, don't lend the whole 100 grand out, but you could take 30 and place it with the most winning dude at your local real estate meetup and be a hard money lender to that guy. Loan that money out to him on a 6-month basis so you can at least make a little bit of a return on your money. Loan it out to that guy every few months. He'll do a project, he'll kick it back to you. So at least it's not just sitting there stagnant. That's probably what I would do if I was you. Number two, he made the distinction that he was talking about new deals, not previous deals where we've already got the fixed rate debt. That's a good question, Jeff. Dion said, yeah, we're watching days on market. We're undercutting. That's one thing that you can do. How do you make a new deal cash flow? Well, you have to buy it right. It all comes in the buy aspect. You can overcome the interest rate. You can overcome that type of stuff if you buy it right. Well, okay, great. Everything's really expensive in my market. Agreed. It is 100%. The other option is some sort of creative financing, seller financing. I have a very good friend named Michelle. She was just texting Dion and I. We won't give the where or the whatever it is because we don't want to blow up her deal or jinx it, but she is making a seller finance offer that it appears to seem that she already has a verbal agreement on. And that offer is for a 17% down payment and a fixed interest rate. And I think it was at like a 3.25% fixed interest rate amortized over 30 years. So it's seller financing, less money down than a traditional loan, less than half of what your interest rate would be. And how did she find that deal? And in a very expensive market, again, I won't name the market, in a very, very competitive, expensive market, she did it by networking. She did it by networking at local real estate meetups where she met an agent who the next day put her in contact with a seller who was willing to do it. It's all about who you know.
Yes. Rob's very bitter about flying cars. I understand. Ned talks, wealth is created with small amounts of capital, taking big risks with disproportionately convex upside potential, and then retained with low volatility moves for small gains on a large equity base. I concur.
I understood about half the words. I take money, I buy a rental, the rental pays me.
Ned's right.
The risk as much as I can. Too much cerebral for me.
Ned,
I should probably follow Ned Talks and try.
You should.
To, like,
Ned's
myself.
awesome.
Yeah,
Ned's
absolutely.
awesome. Yeah, he's
So I
great.
see his comments often.
Yeah, he's great. Jeff M, Millennium Mike, 100% great answers, very concise. Thank you so much. Yes, that is what we try and do here. Concise, actionable information. But yeah, I mean, I just talked to a DSCR lender this morning. 8.74 is their floor. 8.74. It's almost got a 9 in it.
Yeah.
Crazy. 8.74. Good job, Michelle. I know you can get that job done. I hope you get that. I am actually going on a walk tomorrow of my biggest, it might be buying a whole portfolio. Yeah.
You're going to buy a whole portfolio
tomorrow. Well, we're walking it.
Hey. Wow.
So
you're gonna
it's
actually like fix your hair or something for this one? Or you're just going to show up?
No,
man.
I probably won't even shower. That's the way it goes.
Oh,
He'll want to get out of that building with me, so fast.
You
Yeah,
animal.
I'm walking it tomorrow. So we'll see. And it's a nice portfolio. It's about, I think it's about 30 units, 32 units. So we'll see.
Nice.
The problem is
It's all in your area. You currently own everything else. So you're buying somebody out. Is that the whole portfolio then? Nice. Is it like the small multis like you do, like 5 units, 6 units, that type of stuff? Nice.
It's mostly, so it's a mixed bag. I think it's 30 something units. I want to say it's 7 or 8 properties. 7 or 8.
Okay.
Sounds like the deal that Mike's gonna do in 20 years with me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
20 years, Dion? I don't think it'll be that long.
Holy shit, Dion, you'll be old then.
Yeah.
You'll still be buying real estate at 72.
No, he's gonna be buying it from me.
Oh, yeah. No, now I get it.
When he's 70 and I'm 50. Dion is older than my mom. Dion could be my
And
father.
Mike is younger than my son. I look forward to 20 years from now, looking at my son and going, you should have got interested in real estate, but you didn't. So Mike gets it all.
Yeah. Yes. I'm gonna have to buy it, but yes.
We're literally like a weight loss commercial. Mike's the before picture. I just had kids picture and Dion's the after. It's ridiculous. Clint Leclerc, yeah, 8.74 minimum. Yeah, that's the floor plus points. It's not cheap. But again, I mean, well, it's just like anything. I want to see the deal. I want to see if they want to do seller financing. I'm not going to have that conversation with them on the phone. The big mistake that people try and do is, hi, yeah, can I buy your house seller financing? That's like the second thing that they say.
Mhm.
Or, hey, yeah, so I hear you're interested. Would you consider seller financing? No. Yeah, would love to meet you. I want to just go and meet the guy, meet him, see his properties. Maybe we get a deal done. Maybe we don't. Maybe he only thinks about it. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he tells me to F off. Maybe he tells me I smell. These are all options. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Julie Anderson, I love when you three are together. The best mastermind ever. With fart jokes.
So we do cover a spectrum, and it's not just because we're on it.
Yeah, something like that. BF, Dion, what state or states do you own your real estate in? It's all Washington, right?
Right. So I'm all
Currently.
between Tacoma and Olympia and Washington, but not in Tacoma or Olympia and Washington. Matt is in Siberia. Mike invests he's house hacking close to Seattle, but not in King County. Owns in
Smart.
Gary, Indiana, Chicago, and
Washington.
in Washington. Yeah.
Nice.
3
And I'm
states.
all in Washington. So
And Ned talks, not even beard oil. Nope. I only break out the beard oil for my wife. Not even then. I'm not a beard oil kind of guy. What's really funny is as I got a much bigger beard, I started getting gifted beard oil. I'm like, does my beard smell? Or are you just like, that's instantly what you go? They're like, no, it doesn't smell at all. And I was like, well, I use shampoo.
Chuck sent you the Viking braids,
Well, I use shampoo. Like it's, yeah, I know dude, I did that. So I did that and Eliana my daughter got a hold of it and yanked on it. Literally the thing took a tuft of hair with it.
Oof.
Oh, I was just like, Eliana. Oh, she's like, Dad. And I'm like, the joys of parenthood. Let's see.
That's the second
Dale.
time Angel has asked that question. Can we address that?
Yeah, where is it?
Last
After
one
units,
just popped up.
the umbrella policy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after how many units did you guys get an umbrella policy? Oh my goodness. Dion?
So I should have done it at 3 properties. I waited till 4, and I actually didn't get it because I didn't really know about them. I was just getting rentals, and then my brother was telling me about his, and it was $2 million in coverage for like $550 a year. So I got it at 4, should have at 3.
Mike?
I don't have one.
Didn't
And
think so.
I should get one. I need to.
Yeah. So I had a bit of a different strategy. I wouldn't do this strategy if you're a smaller landlord. I did this strategy where I have very high deductibles of about $20,000 or $25,000. I have max on the individual properties of typically, instead of it being like 500, 1 million coverages, it's usually 1 million, 2 million coverages. And then I have umbrella on top of that. So yeah, I'm a little bit stacked. Landlord, honestly.
The weird thing that can happen when you have your umbrella policy is they'll look at your vehicle insurance and they might increase some of those minimums too, because the umbrella kicks in anytime any of your insurances goes above threshold. So they'll want those thresholds basically almost as high as a property insurance.
Yeah, work with a broker, honestly. If you work with a broker, you can walk through the process where you look at the analysis and say, if I am I allowed to carry a $20,000 deductible on each of my properties? And can I help offset costs by, instead of carrying a $2,000 or $1,000 deductible, carry a 20. And then instead of it being a 500 to $1 million, then like Dion and I were talking about, you go 1 million, 2 million, and then the umbrella covers up off of that. But because you can go 1 million, 2 million, your umbrella typically at that point will be a lot less expensive because they're covering a much smaller, overage in that particular case. Matthew Parrish, Friday Live is back. It was all because of Mike. He usually works Fridays. So anytime.
Oh, it wasn't because Matt didn't have a voice for 3 weeks. That's not
that was a problem too.
Okay.
And still, like, this is lubed up. Like, this is a problem. So yeah, eventually I'll fix it. Let's see. Dale. Hi, Matt. How long does it take to evaluate due diligence on that size of a portfolio? Well, as humbly as I can say it, I'm done by the time I get in the truck. I kind of have an idea of what that's going to be worth. Horseshoes and hand grenades, I'm going to be within 5% of the number of what I think it's going to be worth, because this is where doing a rent box consistently and understanding all of my rents, what my rents are in those neighborhoods I own in that area. I know the area very well. I know the quality of unit that I'm looking at. I know the quality of unit that I can make it. And I know what the gap is to getting it there. That, quite frankly, when you've mastered everything that I have in my course, oh shit, I'm a landlord now. When you've mastered all of those things, you'll be able to do exactly the same thing. Dion.
And Matt just summed up why I don't get an appraisal, because I don't touch equity, and everything Matt just said.
It's a very salient point. So Dale, it's absolutely doable, possible. Matthew Paris, we need more Millennial Mike in our lives. He needs to go part-time and concentrate on his YouTube career. I agree. If you just go to his site and start super chatting $8,000 every live stream, we're good. I know he will give it up.
I'll settle for half that in cash, honestly, but no,
we're working on getting Mike there.
We are.
The truth is, fellas, like, it's going to be bittersweet. The idea of being able to make it to retirement, it's becoming more and more tangible. I got my 14th rental property, my 14th unit, my 10th rental property under contract right now. I just had my contractor texting me while he's walking through it. And he's like, dude, this house is beautiful. We have to do almost nothing in here other than just the paint I talked about at the beginning of the video today. And I don't have to do too many more deals the way that I've been doing them before, that income snowball has really started to kick in. And at some point, I will quit my job. That's going to be tough because, man, I like what I do. Like, I'm going to get paid, right? When I get off this live stream, I'm going to get paid to go down to the range and have fun. I don't know if I can say the G word on YouTube. Have fun firing Nerf bullets that are a little more real. For like 8 hours, I'm going to get paid to teach people to do that and then do it myself. Like, it's a pretty good job. So, but yes, I do enjoy when I get invited on the live stream with the fellas here. It's always fun to hang out with everybody here.
Hey, Mike, how many times have you been shot at this year?
Okay, that's right. Yeah, so that does make it easier. This year alone, I think it was shot at about 4 times. So that makes it a little more real. Eventually, you're like, as you're standing there behind the armored vehicle and you just hear ping, ping. Like,
and just for context,
I'm gonna get zipped up.
Anybody who's not in law enforcement, so you've been shot at 4 times this year. I was an officer for 8 years, involved in 3 officer-involved shootings total, and only 2 of those were rounds coming at us. So, like the average officer and a guy on SWAT, you're having a very different experience than the average officer.
I told you I was sorry about that one. Like I told you I was sorry. Give me a break. It's really funny because being in New Hampshire, like this is like a thing that we all do. We all, enjoy the outdoors. And what's really funny is I know in this group, I'm the worst shot. and
I still have confidence you can hit the target.
well, I don't suck. I'm just not as good as you.
You know the national statistic, right? It's 3 rounds, 3 feet, 3 seconds. If you can
Yes.
handle that, you can handle a gunfight. Because that's
Well,
what's gonna
yeah, I know I can. I'm just not as good as you guys. That's all I'm saying. You turkeys. Lumberjack, how much is tomorrow's purchase going to cost for the 32 units? Great question. That is the burning question. He hasn't given me a price. I haven't made an offer. I know that a couple of the buildings are in kind of rough shape. And so that's what I just need to assess as I walk through. So if I had to guess, my guess is he's probably going to want somewhere around, without seeing anything, he's probably going to want somewhere around 5 million would be my guess. I would say probably somewhere around there, 5 to 6 million. And my hope is that I get it for a lot less than that and that he carries.
Are you you're gonna try to seller finance then with him?
I mean, it really depends. You know, that's all part of the conversation. You know, at the end of the day, if the guy doesn't own the property outright,
right,
can't really do it. If he does own it outright, which I don't think he does, I think he has some debt on it. But that's where we'll have the conversation. You know, see if we can put something together that fits. You know, but the big thing is that it's just a guy I want to know. He's a fellow landlord. He owns a lot of units in a market that I do a lot of business with. I almost said my market, not my market. The market that I do business in. So I'm just excited to meet him and shake his hand and have another contact in the business, and kind of see how that goes. But yeah, we'll see. BF, Mike is even wearing his vest on this live stream.
I'm not. I have in the past. I think it's downstairs.
That's all Mike.
I was so disappointed when we got to Gary and you didn't have 2 vests with you.
Yeah, I honestly, if I had more room in the luggage, I could have brought them.
That's awesome. Laura, hello. Good to see you as always. Josh Burdick, I like Lumberjack's Cody tactic of getting to know the portfolio first. Deal options may present themselves after that. Play it coy and don't force it. I think it's always about relationship building. And while I appreciate that that's Cody doing Cody things, you know, I've been investing as long as he's been alive. It's kind of funny to say, but I remember doing those kind of conversations in the very beginning. It was, you know, you sidle up to people that know what they're doing and what they've done and having a conversation. The difference is do it genuinely. I genuinely like to meet other landlords in my area. I genuinely enjoy it because I'm wondering if they're suffering from the same things I'm suffering from. And I always ask them, tell me your 5 worst tenants.
I like that.
Because a lot of landlords will literally we won't do it in our business. We will not ever do cash for keys. They can F off. We won't ever do that. I'm never looking to reduce the drag there. I want to make sure that I get every shot in I can because I want to protect the next landlord who doesn't have the money that I have to get an eviction done. And it's not like I'm made of money. It's more that I can afford it more than somebody with 7 units or 6 units or 2 units. I can afford it more than they can. And I don't want them getting stuck. I'd rather be the one to pay it. And then all they have to do is their due diligence to make sure that if there's an eviction on the person's record, they know about it. And if there's a charge off, but a lot of landlords will do cash for keys just to get rid of the person. And I hate that strategy because it just kicks the can down the road and somebody likely with less money is going to get hurt. Dion, Jeff wants to know what your workout routine is.
Beer and pizza.
Mostly.
He's been looking at all your thumbnails, Dion, where you're like 4 ways to buy a rental
Just
property.
that way, right?
Those are some. We got to take more pictures like that, Dion, with a beard.
With the beard. We talked about it one time. So this is too much of an overshare, and I'm going to blame it on the water here. It takes 64 pounds of pressure and a quick jerking motion to snap an average neck. So my goal is to always maintain enough body strength to do that. I got the Enemy Marksmanship Award while I was in the Marine Corps, so running is not an option. So I elliptical, and then I do 500 push-ups every other day, which sounds like a lot, but it's just a pyramid. Start at 30, work your way down, 29, 28, 27. By the time you get shaky, you're doing like 4. And then you wait about an hour and you do 25. So that's about it. And then trying to say this without demonetizing your channel. I used to do more cardio, but 2 years ago, like a lot of people, I was forced because of my job to put something in my body I didn't want, which is now dropping people dead at the age of 30 with cardiac arrest. So cardio is not really part of my thing now, because at my age, having that in me, I expect to just drop dead at any minute. But that's the workout routine.
That's
And a lot of beer and pizza.
and beer and pizza. Sean, I'm sorry. I saw this question earlier. We didn't get to it. 4-unit under contract on hold because 1 unit is a salon and needs plumbing for kitchen to get residential loan. Yep. Inspection done. But would you get the new work inspected again before closing? My short answer is I would make sure that whatever work is being done, that you get a permit pulled, and that if you're not there with the inspector when they're inspecting it, that you have someone there with the inspector when it's getting inspected, because the best way to get in trouble is when you have work like that done, that somebody was a great price and they did it for you. They took care of it and it wasn't properly sloped. It wasn't, the bathtub. So we did that once where we had somebody swap out a bathtub. They didn't properly pour a pad underneath the bathtub, and somebody big and heavy got in the bathtub and snapped the bottom, and I had to redo the tub. Sucked. Total waste. So I would make sure that you're either there when the inspector is, but make sure that they pull a permit, and make sure that the inspectors there doing inspections, they do them after the rough, and they do them after look at that, Cody and Christian. Hey guys, but they do it after the rough. And then they also do it after the final to make sure everything works. Rob wants a rotary dial cell phone. It's going to be inconvenient to carry, Rob. That's the problem. Thanks for the super chat, Cody and Christian. So those guys, multifamily strategy, I get tired watching their social media. They are everywhere.
They're good.
Like I'm physically exhausted. Hi. Oh, that's Cody. Hi, Cody. Bicep curls from pizza box to mouth and back. Lots of reps. Yeah, exactly. Chester nailed it. Let's see. Thank you, Cody and Christian multifamily. Yes. Will you get a home inspection on this new purchase, or do you inspect yourself, Mike?
Will I get a home inspection? Yeah. So I will do a professional home inspection on every property that I buy. I want the sewer scoped, and I want to have the roof taken a look at. And because kind of to Matt's point earlier, I want to know what I'm missing, right? What did I miss? What did my contractor not look at? I want the home inspector to go in there and just do the once over in case there's any major glaring issue. My contractor's in there to give me an estimate of what it's going to cost me to do my remodel, so I can have a better estimate of what my numbers are going to be. But yes, I do an inspection on every property. And I've had friends who have not done the inspection, or they did like an informal inspection with just the property manager, and then it came back to bite them big time as they started doing rolling remodels that they hadn't planned on earlier. So I would say it's always worth it to do the inspection.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, in a normal market, it's your opportunity to at least have a discussion with the seller. I don't nitpick, but I do. If it's something that's big, you got to have that conversation. Jerry Oaksmith, $199. Don't be so cheap. Jerry, hilarious. But I understand. It's that $199 is appreciated, and they're cool. It's a super sticker. I was hoping for a super chat. So where they ask a question, but they don't really need to hear anything from me. Laura Samaniego is trying to survive a gas shortage. That sounds like a problem. Is that a thing in Florida right now? Gas
Anytime
shortages?
there's a hurricane, everyone's got to prep.
Yeah. And plywood. Man, that's expensive preparing now from a plywood perspective. Matthew Paris, after 3 months of countless realtors, I finally found an agent who could accurately send me single family home with ADU fourplex in the areas I've asked for. See, I told you a lot of realtors are idiots. I've started to narrow my buy box for my first multifamily. Matthew Paris, congratulations. That's awesome news. Mike, do you see any questions there that you want to answer?
BF said, what's the best CCW? And what he's asking about is concealed carry. I recommend the Smith & Wesson M&P2. It's a 7+1. It's a very small gun. That's what I prefer. I like it. I don't recommend a red dot because batteries can go out on that type of stuff, and Murphy gets a vote and the battery will go out when you need it the most. So I just recommend regular irons. It's going to be less disruption to your clothing as well as you try to get that thing out. But at the end of the day, you should only carry if you train, if you practice. I coincidentally posted on my Instagram story, like me at the range yesterday.
Saw that.
Like, you need to train, you need to practice, you need to be proficient, because if you're not doing those things, you'll just be a liability, including getting yourself deleted with your own weapon if you're not trained. So I encourage everybody to practice and train and not just buy and say, all right, I'm good. That's not how you safely carry.
If Cody, I'll invite them if you guys didn't already. If Cody and Christian want to jump on with us and make this a 5-some, I'm open to it.
Oh, dude, it's going to be real dirty.
It's a lot. Let's see, Matt, are you and Zoob seeing any opportunities yet in commercial? Oh yeah, sure. If I want to buy office space.
Yeah. I've gotten a bunch of offers for some commercial as well. And I'm like, no.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yes, I'm seeing opportunities. Nothing awesome yet though. Like some decent stuff. Will you help a young guy, me, sell or finance a house? It's Cody's version of I'm gonna screw this up. Oliver Twist. Excuse me, sir, may I have some more? It's awesome. It works just fine, Cody. What do you got? Like, I think Cody passed me in unit count. I think you did. It's awesome. Thrive Glucose. I like the name. Do you three have a minimum yield you try and get? Mike, do you have a yield?
Yeah, so I mean,
minimum?
my deals, I average 18 to 22% cash on cash return. And I want to make sure that I'm getting at least $250 a month in cash flow. Anything lower than that's not really worth it. And the 18 to 22% comes because I've done the buy box in my market and I've bought enough deals over the years that I know I can get that number. So if I see a deal that's like 10%, well, why would I get the 10% when I can get 18 to 22%? So that's unique to me and in my market.
Yes. Dion, yield.
So I'm going to steal right out of One Rental at a Time from Super. Study your market, learn average, beat average. As long as average is above 4%, and I would beat it with a 6, I would invest in my market. I've been able to get a 10% or better because I was usually finding 8s. As it gets harder and harder to find, I'm probably going to adjust average, study it again and place it. As long as I can beat average, I'm happy. The reason it works for me to get 10 and not worry about getting 15 or 20 is because I'm also, last year alone was over $600,000 in appreciation. That doesn't suck, just from owning them. And then when rents go up, they go up $300 or $400, not $50 or $100. So right. I'm happy with that yield. And I've actually done some videos on a 5% yield in real estate versus a 10% yield in stocks. That the real estate is actually a 26% yield when you're looking at what it takes to get the 10% out of stocks. So that's why when we talk cash on cash return, I'm willing to go down to 5 or 6% if I had to in my area, but I haven't had to go that low yet.
Yeah, for me, I'm usually like, I just turned in a deal that was 15% cash on cash. Didn't love it. I think it's still kind of expensive. The place needed a decent amount of work, but even as I could get the rents to market at that, I was like, it's a lot of lifting for 15 points when I'm just very patient in waiting for the next deal. Jeff M, do you guys have your real estate licenses or do you go through a realtor to buy all your properties? Dion.
I use at least 3 realtors at all times because searching on the MLS is nuanced. I don't have a license because I don't want the restrictions that come from having a realtor's license. I can interact with the seller however I want without having to worry about broker rules, state rules, or even using the word realtor without putting a trademark after it can cost you your license and all these dumb rules. I don't even want to know how they work. Same reason I'm not a tax pro. I'm going to hire one. Okay. The annual renewal fees, the license to acquire fees, the brokerage fees means that you're going to have to do 5+ deals over 100,000 or 1 deal for $500,000 for you to even come close to breaking even on what it costs to stay as a realtor. So I don't.
Dion, I know, Mike, you don't have your license. I don't have my license either. Dion, what was your last deal purchased? from Adam?
Duplex in May of 2021. And since then I've been stacking cash because I retired and I wasn't sure what I was going to do next, but that was my last purchase. I've had several offers in the last couple of months, come really close to closing. I came here to Portugal specifically to look about buying a house, and the people told me that that's not what I want to do. By being the people here, they didn't tell me that physically, they just were themselves. I had some friends that asked me, hey, while you're in Portugal, see what you think of it, because we might move here. And I want to tell my friends, since they don't watch my content, I think they're going to fit it. They'll fit in just like everyone else here. So perfect for them.
That's
my next deal is probably going to be all cash, just purchased for cash flow, ignoring yield, and using that cash flow to pay for Airbnb. And I'm traveling all over the world, living in Thailand and Colombia and wherever's next.
Are you seeing anything that, because I know you look at your market daily, are you seeing anything that like even moves it a little bit for you? Like you're like,
So I for a month, I really haven't hunted because I wanted to come here and I wanted to see. So first I learned the area of Portugal. There's 4 main areas. I settled on the Algarve because of weather. And then you have the Algarve, you have the major cities, which are massive apartments. I want to show you out this window. The person who owned this apartment had this beautiful river and ocean view. They turned it into an Airbnb because that's the view. Now you can't tell. It's just street after street after street of apartments. You can't see anything. You look over there, you see yourself in the reflection. So that's the cities. Then you get out of the cities and it's all graffiti, falling down roofs, a couple of really nice villas, but a lot of just war zone looking places. Wouldn't have known that if I didn't come here. So that's what I've been focusing on. When I go back, I am going to put up a search for all cash purchases in Washington and Gary. If I do Gary, I'm probably going to go with the Olsen brothers. Is that them?
Olsen Group.
Olsen Group, and do turnkey. So
nice.
That's what I'm looking at now. Or just handing all my money to Mike and saying, you know, give me 10% a year.
Easy.
Done deal. $500,000 and put it to work.
Cake. Okay, I'll find deals for it.
Exactly.
That's not a problem.
He'll find a home. Cody can't hop on today, but that's okay. Cody and Christian can't, but that's okay. We'll get you next time, guys. Let's see. A lot of pew pew talk.
Yeah.
I'm from New Hampshire, so the rule here is Ruger or Sig because they're both headquartered here.
Mike picks on me for my SIG every time we see each other. I carry the SIG Sauer anti-snag, the SAS.
Yeah.
Which is great for carry conceal. It's small, but if you're facing light, you can't see the sight because they're recessed and glow. Yeah. So they have some drawbacks, but I really like the feel of it. I've never had a jam yet, not one. And even the Glock that I had that has a very reliable gun, I've had one in that gun before.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes me happy actually to see all this talk in here to not go off on too deep a tangent. I think one of the major problems with society is we don't have enough strong men. We don't have enough men that are willing to stand up and defend their beliefs and their values. And so when we joke about going to the gym and getting on TRT and things like that, and we joke about firearms, but I'm dead serious, no pun intended. It's important to know your way around how to protect things that you value and care about, whether that be your friends, your family, your ideals, whatever it is. So go to the gym, pick a pew that you enjoy. Learn how to do it. If you ever come to Washington and want to go to the range with me, I'll happily go with anybody. Dion and I have gone together. It's always a good time.
The one thing missing from your equation there, because I have 2 daughters, they go to the range. They are their own self-defense. And I think if you have kids, you should be doing that, boy or girl, or whatever they're choosing to be nowadays. But they can still
I only take ladies to the range to get their adrenaline up, so it makes later easier. I'm just to be honest, right? Worked with Maria.
Why you haven't met my daughters, but let's go.
Sweet Lord. Oh my goodness. Yes. So I was just manning up for just a minute. So literally one of the world's best ranges was just built like 30 minutes from my house.
Oh yeah.
They fly special forces in there to do all their training. Like the place is pretty legit. Like I'm excited to go. Next time you got to stay long enough where we can go do that. And it's not going to be 0 outside. So we can do that again. And Dion, like you're getting dangerously close to being warm enough here where you can come visit.
Whenever that invitation is sent.
Dion, it's an open invitation.
And I just jumped out of the plane on the way back. I'm pretty sure I got to go right over you.
You do. I mean, if you want, like, if you're flying, where do you have to stop? New York or probably New York?
Frankfurt and then Seattle. Like, that's just we stop in Germany and then it's straight to Seattle. So
Yeah, there you go. BF, that's why Mike is single. I think it's all, yeah, there's a lot to that design, BF. I won't mislead
The
you.
reason Mike is single is because of intelligence and self-preservation.
Did everybody forget about Marina?
Well, you're not married currently.
Right. Okay, you're right. I'm not married.
Yes.
And I probably will never be married again.
See, there you go.
When people ask me, I was just married every now and then.
Hyder, good to have you here, my man. Glad to see you. I may or may not have picked up a PSA Rock 5.7 rifle round and a pistol. That's pretty cool. Legit. Let's see. Yeah, we got off the rails for a second real quick. That tends to happen with us. You guys should see, we could never put up on the internet what we talk about and things that are said after our live streams are over.
Yeah. Every time we end a live stream, we're all like, okay, wait till we can verify that it's actually ended. Somebody pulled their phone out. We don't want to get sued or canceled. Wait. Okay, now we can talk.
Exactly. Christoph Sevilla. Good to have you, Christoph. Mike, I'll take you up on that invite, but come on out to the Olympics for some mountain pew pew fun. There you go, Mike. Yeah, yeah, Mike. I'm very excited to go with these two guys because I'm always surrounded. This is what's kind of funny. It's a little disheartening, maybe a little bit, but if zombie apocalypse happens, I'm in good company. I'm the worst shot. So, it's kind of not bad. But a good friend of mine is actually a ex-army pew pew, specialty pew pew. So, man, guys just like, and it's funny around here, there's a lot of them. Which is kind of fun because you get to go and you can literally just go to the range and watch, and it's a lot of fun. Let's see what else. Matthew Paris, just going to the gym isn't enough. You need to do something while you're there. Yeah. I learned that the hard
distinction.
way. Yes, it's true. Mike goes to the gym and he works out. I go to the gym and measure walls to see what I could do with the space if it doesn't make it.
I do a home gym because there's people at the gym.
Yeah, it's true. Have you guys been noticed in public?
At the gym, somebody walked up to me when Marina was with me. Some guy walks up to me, pulls his phone out and goes, "Is this you?" And it has my YouTube page. And I was like, well, son of a gun, that is me.
Look at you, Dion.
I've taken a couple of selfies with people that are driving around and they like kind of wave. For a while, it was easy because I was in the compensator and they would like literally follow the compensator to a parking lot and go, "I know you because you're truck."
Dion's all ready, staying ready. Like,
I know someone's coming.
Lumberjack, what action will you take if your ex-tenant to be misses a payment? So he missed one. He missed one today. I haven't decided yet. I really don't want to make the guy homeless. And he's going to be out in a couple weeks anyway. So I'm in all honesty, I am debating that. I have a conversation with my wife later tonight. Because once you get granted an eviction and you have a payment schedule, as soon as they miss a payment, you can actually go to the court and file non-compliance. When you file non-compliance, you then get a writ of possession given. And then you can take that to the sheriff and you can have that served anytime. So that's where we're kind of at. I literally, Ned, he just said his gym has a bar. Legit, his gym has a bar. I've seen it. He's taken us around. These are the fun things that we cover in the boot camp. He walked us around, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ned, it's the oldest gym in the country, I think is what you said. Jeff M, properties in the hood here can probably cash flow here in St. Louis. Is it worth to invest in the ghetto? All B's and C's properties here in the burbs, you can't buy unless you overbid 50K. I don't, Dion, did you answer that? Yeah, the three of us lack, oh my word.
Lack the pigment to say the words that you just said. We can't use those words, Matt. Come on. You know better. We could say war zone. We could say class D neighborhoods. So yes, I avoid those. If you can't go there safely to collect the rents, or you don't feel comfortable sending a property manager there to collect the rents, don't invest there.
Yeah, we have some very bad neighborhoods in New Hampshire, full of the same pigment as me. The downside is that they carry guns, and I'm not interested in using that to collect my rent. That's more of like just in case. but yeah, so BF, yeah, he already missed a payment. Literally, this was the first week he owed. He missed it. You can't get blood from a stone. That's exactly right. So the issue is how much of a jerk do I want to be? Because I could file the non-compliance and I could have him homeless next week. I just don't know that I want to do that. I have to.
So here's the problem. If you don't,
I know.
you do on someone else in the future.
I know.
And you are now discriminating.
I know.
You must be consistent.
Yeah,
Those rules are there for a reason. The agreement was there for a reason. It's written. A judge signed. It's like when me and Mike pull over somebody who has a restraining order, and we go, "Oh, I see you have a restraining order," and you get the idea of everyone else in the car, and you say, "Oh, I see you have a restraining order. I'm sorry, you're both under arrest." You can't agree to be with each other because a judge said this is what's going to happen when you agreed to it. You have a statement. The judge said this is what you agreed to.
Yes. Yeah.
Coincidentally, the amount of times that I pull over people who have a restraining order against someone else that's in the car, and you're just like, you gotta be kidding. And every time, Dion knows what I'm about to say, every time like, oh no, we're on our way to court right now to get that fixed. It's Saturday morning at 8 a.m. There ain't a court open. Get the flip out of here. Get out of the car, bro. No, we're in really good. Wait, that's all. That's in the past. Yeah, I get it. It's in the past, but you got to go take that and take it to the judge. And the judge is going to make, you don't just get it back. Oh no, we're good now. I don't get to walk away.
We had a really good talk.
Yeah.
Angel R. If he stays longer, he may do damage to the unit. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Yeah, I mean, I think it's across the board, right? Like this is somebody that maliciously went after me. His case was dismissed. I actually won a big verdict against him. Not only financial, but also the schedule by which he needs to be out. It is hard, it is hard. It's something I still grapple with, even though he came after me hard. It's still something I grapple with. So yeah, I got to I'll talk to the attorney on Monday, and just have a quick conversation with them. I'll talk to my wife about it tonight to just figure out what we want to do for options. And I'll talk to my attorney, and see what we want to do. Cause yeah, to that end, sure, you could do more damage for sure. Ned talks, dude has 3,500 or so members at $80 a month and uses the cash flow from this to fund his development company. Far as I can tell, this is his cash cow. I like that. That's pretty freaking awesome. Yeah, I think largely speaking, when we're talking about, Rob asked Mike if he's been shot at this week.
Not this week. No, thank goodness.
Not this week. And it's Friday. So the week's almost over. So that's good.
It's my Monday.
Is it Friday?
Yes, Dion, it's Friday. When you're leaving, what you're like there another week or two, right? Or 2 weeks?
Oh yeah, I'm here till I think the 10th.
Holy cow.
And then as soon as I get back, we've got the thing in Portland. On the next week, I am taking a trip with a friend, and then 2 weeks after that, me and my brother head to Thailand for a month or 3.
For a month or 3.
Cruise in September, so maybe not 3.
Dude,
it's awesome. Almost like owning real estate sets you free. And then we turn back around, we look down the stairs, we grab the hands of the people behind us, and it's like we have to drag most people kicking and freaking screaming to where we are.
I gotta buy Dion's course, figure out what I'm doing wrong.
Is there anybody here who will take my hand? Not here, but here watching.
Yes, I will, Dion. BF lumber was the guy was a POS to me, so do what the law allows you to do. Yeah, trust me on this. I did all the law allowed me to do in that courtroom. That was enjoyable. What was that, Mike? Dear God.
My memorial band for my friend. These are metal memorial bands that are real popular in the military. And it's finally reached its life cycle of probably coming near to an end where it's been bent too many times. So I was just looking at it because I felt the crease breaking. Totally off topic.
Yes. So yeah, so I get it. I think that still for me, even as a landlord, I want to, you have to kind of walk the line between grace. Like I got my verdict. I got my judgment. I won. He's not undoing any of that. And at the same time too, so the guy's down. I'm not a huge fan of kicking somebody when they're down. If you come after me, I'm a huge fan of getting you down and then being able to stand back up and you're down, but because I want to win that way. But I don't know that I'm really a kick you while you're down kind of guy. Not a huge fan of that. That's kind of me though. But I don't know. We'll talk to the attorney and see what they say on Monday and how they kind of want to proceed. And kind of go from there. But yeah, that's our last lockout. Do you guys, Dion, what do you have fun planned for the weekend?
My brother's supposed to be looking into scuba. We're in a town. I don't know the name of the town. We picked one because the location of the river and the water, and then we get here and there's a whole new apartment that's not supposed to be there.
Was that just built?
It's not occupied, right? It's all, what do you call it? Cement dust everywhere. And I mean, this person just turned this into an Airbnb because they lost their view.
Wow. Amazing. Did they use pictures of the view to
Aerial, so they couldn't say it was from the window, but it's a great place. It's half the price of all the hotels around here, and I would have stayed here longer, but there wasn't available in the middle.
Interesting.
So yeah, that's the plan.
All right. And Mike, what's your plan for the weekend?
I'm working. Today's my Monday. So I've got range today, and then I work the next 3 days, and I'll probably work on some YouTube videos. My son goes to his grandparents when I'm working on weekends. So I'll just work on YouTube videos and go to the gym.
Sounds
play basketball
awesome.
and
I love
soccer.
it. Anything else, Michael?
You asked.
That's a lot. Mike Dinsmore or Alex Dinsmore. Mike, are your deals in Gary off market? Mostly not, or some not mostly.
Yeah. I mean, I've got, let's see, I got one from a turnkey provider. I got two from seller financers. I got one from a wholesaler. This one that I just got was an off market deal. So that's 5 that are, and then I've got 4 that are from the MLS. So you should be pursuing every single available avenue.
Yes. Agreed. Dion from Ninja Vanish 24/7. Are you going to play Diablo 4 when it comes out?
I am not a Diablo fan, but I'm going to, because there's nothing else going on in the gaming world right now. While I'm traveling, I actually play Diablo Immortal on my phone.
Okay. Good to know. All nighter. BF holding no quarter. Yeah, I love the consistency. It's true. Yeah, let him rot in the big house. Yeah, it's a little harsh. Let me change some perspective for you real quick. He's a veteran. That's hard for me. That's just really, it's hard for me. It's hard. So that's my thing.
That means you should hold him to a higher standard.
Yeah, I know. That's what makes, yeah, I know. It's just, yeah, it's hard. I think that's it, guys. I think that's everything that we wanted to cover today. So we covered what we're going to do for the weekend. Bardic asks, Counter-Strike, Dion?
No, I don't want anything with pew-pews in it when I'm playing. It's not that in the real world. I go to the range. All the online stuff needs to be fantasy that you can't do in real life.
Got it. All right. We now have the criteria by which Dion selects where to invest his time. I love it. It's fantastic.
However, I'll do the pew-pews all day, every day. One of the greatest games of all time right here. So my son and I play it together all the time.
Well, that's mine played with my kids too. They played, and my son was off in a different state, off at college. My daughter was off. I mean, we could still stay in touch because we played the same kind of games.
That's cool. Very good. Well, it's always a great time hanging out with you guys. As always, we try and create great content for you. Make sure you hit that like button on your way out the door, and check me out on my live stream, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time on Sunday. And then the boot camp, where we're actually going to have a special guest this weekend in our boot camp. And then Mike still won't commit to a live stream on a consistent basis because of his life activities. And Dion still crushes it every Tuesday, no matter where he is in the world, for 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. What is that? 9 p.m.
Where I'm at, it was 2 a.m. It
was 2. Oh, dear God.
We only went for 2 hours. It was good. Beth joined. It was great. Mike was there. My last live was awesome. And it was the end of the first week of my course being out. So
that's right. Oh, and don't forget tomorrow, if you're in Dion's course, tomorrow is one of his 4 sessions that's free. If you're in his course, go check it out. DionTalk.com, right?
Yep. And you'll get an email with the Zoom link. It's everybody joins the Zoom. We go together, dig deep into personal goals and where your portfolio is at and where you want to go. So.
Love that. And yeah, that's everything that we have for you guys today. Make sure you hit the like on the way out, and we'll see you in the live streams this Sunday and Tuesday. Take care, everybody. Okay.